We've already seen some Premier League clubs conduct COVID spot checks at games. Well, from Friday, many sports fans in Scotland will need to prove they've been fully vaccinated to attend matches.
The vaccine passport scheme will take place at all fixtures with crowds at bigger than 10,000. So Premiership matches at Tynecastle, Pittodrie and Ibrox will be among the first impacted.
Fans have gradually been returning to grounds in Scotland since the start of the season, and clubs have been able to move to full capacity since August the 9th. There's a change to restrictions from this weekend, though. If you're heading to a game with a crowd over 10,000, you have to have been double vaccinated against COVID-19.
Totally agree with it.
I'll still try my luck. If they turn me away, go to the pub.
Well, what good is it going to do? I mean, because you've got vaccinated and you've got a thing that you can show, it doesn't mean to say you're not going to catch it.
I had COVID about a year ago and I was in the hospital, so I know what it's about. So I would rather have the double vaccination and know I'm safe to come to these events.
There are some exemptions. For example, if you're under 18, exempt from getting the jab on medical grounds, or if you have proof you're part of a vaccine trial. And we now won't see the blanket checks on all supporters entering stadiums as was first mooted. Although even that has brought a mixed response.
Who do we check? And if you're put back, do you get angry on the time? Will there be flare-ups? And even further than that, if you're knocked back, will you then go to the end of the next queue beside the turnstile you're trying to get into and get in that way? The government have said they want a reasonable number of checks. What does reasonable mean?
I think in the main, people that are being careful are not going to games anyway. Some of my family are actually doing that at the moment. They're obviously older. The older generation are very careful as they have to be, so they're wary. But I think people can still be safe within it.
It's becoming harder to leave the front door, to be quite honest with you. Never mind just football in general. There's so many barriers now being put up that, yeah, it's as I said, it's hard to go and enjoy the things that you love doing unless you do what is being forced upon you.
Despite his own reservations over how the plan is to be implemented here, Andy Smith says the idea of vaccine passports has been used successfully elsewhere.
This last weekend, 50,000 people were at the Johan Cruyff Stadium in Amsterdam. 50,000 were watching football just down the road, and there were 14,000 at the Willem II Stadium. And they opened up early, they opened more gates, everybody had to have a vaccine passport or a test result to get in, and there were long lines, but it worked.
The first match to be affected takes place at Tynecastle Park on Saturday, as Hearts host Motherwell.
Please make sure that you are vaccinated when you're buying your ticket, because if you aren't, and it's very clear from the communications that we've received from Hearts and what Hearts have made public, that they will do spot checks, and if you aren't double vaccinated, then you won't be getting access to the ground, despite the fact that you've bought a ticket.
Whether for it or against it, the new normal for many supporters in Scotland will now see the pre-match checklist extend to season ticket, scarf and proof of vaccination. Mark Benstead, Sky Sports.